A Playlist original.
We all follow people online, and we do it because they make us laugh or they inspire us, or maybe we have a little crush on them, which would be detailed extensively on this pod. But who do those people follow? Every week on the Follow Friday podcast, you'll find out. It's a guide to the best people on the internet. Past guests have included Dana Schwartz, a journalist and author who I've followed since her time at Entertainment Weekly, Washington Post TikTok star and Survivor aficionado Dave Jorgensen, New York Times writer Kara Swisher, and many, many more. Search Follow Friday in your podcast app now or go to followfridaypodcast.com. Hey, what's up? It's your host, Torry, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to another episode of RTBP. Today, I'm joined by Bailey from the Kinda Cute podcast, and we talk about lots of fun things. She's a lawyer, so of course we had to talk about the Kardashians and their court case with Blac Chyna that just started this week. They're doing jury selection. We talk about the Kardashians at Disneyland. We talk about the rumor that A$AP Rocky cheated on Rihanna. We talk about Darren Criss's new baby. And then Bailey names a Pettyweight Champion of the Week. Spoiler alert, it has to do with Coachella. And then she shares a This Week in Petty, which is a real life celeb encounter. So I'm excited for you all to hear that. It's a really fun one, so let's get to it. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Bailey. I'm back with a very special guest. Bailey from the Kinda Cute podcast is here. Bailey, how are you?
I was telling Torry I'm so excited to be on Ready to Be Petty. It's my first time being a guest on a podcast, and I'm elated. I'm so honored to be asked on.
Oh my gosh, Kate, I know. So I didn't know that it was Bailey's first guest spot, and I'm like so thrilled. I found your podcast from when you had Shannon from Fluently Forward on your podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I feel like we cover a lot of the same topics. And I just feel like it's like kind of same.
Yes, I feel the same way. I listened to your episodes with Shannon when you were on hers, when she was on yours. So I totally agree.
Well, thanks, Shannon, for connecting
yes.
us both. Yes. So I guess I spoiled it a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your podcast?
Sure. So my name is Bailey. I go by Bailey Evin on the internet. I'm 33 years old. So I am very solidly like a millennial gal, but I would say my interests tend a little Gen Z. I am a lawyer reluctantly, but I've been into pop culture like as long as I can remember. And I started Kinda Cute back in 2019 just to get out my pop culture thoughts. And I talk about pop culture in general, but I usually do it through the lens of The Cut, which is a publication from New York Mag. And their reporting style just like struck a chord with me. And I love recording my podcasts. And even though I don't have a huge audience, it really brings me a lot of joy and is a great outlet to distract me from the law.
Yeah, seriously. Do you find that you use your legal mind to like dissect some of these pop culture? I feel like a lot, especially with the Kardashians, so much is like intersecting with the law nowadays.
Yeah, I think it helps me reading an article because I can kind of understand it in a way I don't know if I would be able to if I wasn't in, like, I actually do litigation as a lawyer. That's the kind of law I do. So it does help me just understand terms and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm great about putting on my legal cap when I'm reading pop culture because I so try to disassociate from that. But I think in the background, it helps.
That's a good point. Yeah. So synthesizing some of the articles, but yeah, you aren't like getting into like the ins and outs of the Kardashian court cases.
No, but you know, I did put in my notes stuff about the Kardashian the Blac Chyna case. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit later because I am so fascinated with what's going on with that.
Same. And like, I'm kind of confused because from my understanding, it's that Blac Chyna had, I guess, secured a second season of her show with Rob. And then
Rob and Chyna.
Chyna. Yes. But then the Kardashians put a kibosh on it, maybe like when they broke up or something.
So that's her theory, is that they totally interfered with her business contracts and they went to E and they basically blackballed her from the industry. That's what she claims, that they defamed her. And, you know, they have E on their side being like, no, like you guys broke up, her and Rob broke up, and that wasn't going to make good TV for us. We didn't want to follow a broken up couple, which actually is kind of ironic considering that the Kardashians quite often follow like their past, you know, bows, if you will. But that is the brunt of the lawsuit, is her saying that she's lost hundreds of millions of dollars in deals and revenue from the show that ultimately didn't happen.
Yeah, I like low key kind of get that. I'm like, I was thinking Blac Chyna was, I guess, became, I don't want to say she became a household name when she started dating Rob, because that's not giving her props about her like career beforehand, but that's obviously kind of like her peak or her most like mainstream, I would say, fame. And then I'm surprised that the Kardashians wouldn't want a season 2, because they have a way of making themselves look like the good people in like every situation. So it's like, I feel like they could have done it that way. But then the second thing, B, is that I haven't seen Blac Chyna do much recently. And again, maybe it's just she's doing stuff in like the places of the internet that I'm not at. But yeah, I kind of
and I think that's why she feels that she was just completely blackballed from the industry. I think she thinks they were doing stuff behind the scenes that she wasn't aware of. And it's also just crazy because I don't know if you saw that jury selection happened and how they were actually there. Kylie, Chris, Khloe, Kim were all there, which I just am so shocked that they didn't settle this before it went to trial. And I read that they did try to settle it with her, and she clearly didn't accept whatever they were offering. That's usually confidential, the exact money amount. But I wish, you know, we could know what exactly they offered her, because if she's trying to get 100 million, I'm guessing they might have offered her like $1 million, and she was just like, no, we're going to go to trial. But I'm shocked. I mean, celebrities, I feel like they always want to settle things before it goes to trial. I was actually watching the Johnny Depp testimony today in the Amber Heard trial, and it was blowing my mind. I was like, it's so surreal seeing a celebrity up there, like bearing all. I mean, he was talking about his drug use, like when he fell in love with Amber, and it's so weird because you're like, this isn't being filtered through the press. Like clearly he has an agenda in this case, but you're hearing him give testimony that like literally he was talking about how he started taking like his mom's pills when he was 11. I'm still shook by it. I was just watching it a couple hours ago and I'm like,
yeah, that is wild. Cause I guess, it's like celebrities not lie, but they share what they want to share in interviews and in magazines and everything. And so, but when you're in court, I guess you can't lie. So wild. That is wild. Yeah, I'm surprised that the Kardashians didn't settle out of court too, because you're right. Like, I feel like they've been involved in so many court cases, but we've never seen it get to this point. But I bet that Kim is just like loving it because of her law school like journey right now. Like, I feel like she's like, I totally know what's going on. And sure, that's great.
Yeah. Did you see, I just talked about this on my podcast last week, how she scored like the highest essay when she took her baby bar. That's incredible. Like, I would be showing it off too. So yeah, I hope she's in there just taking notes, preparing for her future as a lawyer gal.
Yeah, totally. I feel like a lot of people, since she didn't pass the bar, and like I'm Canadian, so the law school and like legal system is really different than the States. Maybe not really different, but it's definitely, there's no baby bar or anything like that. But I feel like so many people were so ruthless when she failed the baby bar. And I think like you can say so much about Kim Kardashian, but like her going to law school, I feel like is great. Like that's cool. Many people don't have just one career in their lifetime. And even though it's an alternative to like attending courses, it's still a valid and like authorized way of getting your law degree. So.
Oh, I'm completely on your side with that. I feel the same way. I like love that she's doing it. And Yeah, anyone who's giving her shit over that, I'm like, there's a lot of things you can give the Kardashians shit over. Someone getting a law degree is like, come on, guys, let's give her props where it's due.
Totally. Yeah. Do you think that she has or is getting her law degree to practice law, or do you think it will be her like foray into politics?
Oh, see, that's interesting because you would think that'd be like a really obvious thought for me to have, but I don't know. That's such a good question because I think she's really going to focus on her kind of justice initiatives and getting people out of jail who she thinks are wrongfully there. But on the flip side, being in politics is a great way to effectuate that. But I just don't know if I don't know. Oh my gosh, I could see that going either way. Honestly, who knows? Maybe it'll be Kim Kardashian as president in, 12 years from now.
Yeah. I really feel like that's her more the route that she's going to take, but I don't want to say for sure because like with her dad being a lawyer, I feel like she could also want to do that.
Yeah. So, do you think she's like thinking president or something like governor or? Honestly,
knowing her, like I feel like she would aim for like president, especially with like her work with Donald Trump. Like she, worked with him on like some clemencies or and then there was like a bill she passed or something like that with him. So I don't know. I could see it, which is nuts. Like nuts that's even like a possibility. But it's also ironic because Kanye was running for president as well. So it's kind of funny. But and then Caitlyn Jenner also was running for governor. So like it's just I'm sure she has high hopes. But knowing her and like her like get off your ass and work stuff and like all of that stuff, like I just feel like she's probably aiming for the highest form of
power. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I agree.
Well, only time will tell.
And she still has to pass the real bar.
Yeah, that's true. So she, still has, she's been doing it for 2 years, but she still has like another 2 years or something like that. But again, if she's 2 years in, I was like, that's also no small feat. Like that's a long time and probably no turning back now. So speaking of the Kardashians, this is like maybe a little less serious, or I don't know, who knows, but it was revealed earlier this week or last week that Khloe had photoshopped True into a picture at Disneyland that Kim posted with Chicago earlier this fall. And there was tons of speculation around the time, and I guess we were always sure that it was photoshopped, but I feel like we were almost like gaslit into like, what's the purpose and like why and just all of this stuff. Not that we have any more answers than we do now, but Khloe posted a video of True on the teacup ride and said it's True's first time at Disneyland for her fourth birthday. And then someone on Twitter was like, hold up, wait a second. You posted these pictures, or Kim posted these pictures earlier, and she admitted, or she was just like, okay, guys, let's talk about the show that's airing later this week. Do you feel like you are more certain about what went down with this Photoshop picture, or are you as confused as ever?
I am still so confused, and I'm actually shocked that she owned up to it. Like the why of it keeps me up at night. And when it came out originally, I remember seeing that picture for the first time, thinking it was so obviously photoshopped that it almost had to be purposeful. And I do think the theory that it was an Astroworld distraction holds some water.
I agree. Like, I think that they purposely do things to create headlines or spark a little bit of outrage that it, like even the aforementioned quote, get your ass up and work. Like, I feel like, again, it's like, well, we talked about it for now, like going on like a month, but it didn't cancel them. So I just kind of chalk it up to another one of those things of like either. So I guess my running theories are they did it on purpose as a distraction, or they just didn't want to show Stormy at Astroworld because then we would assume that Kylie was there and they were maybe supposed to be in like a mourning kind of period. So I think that those are kind of my two. And I think maybe it's both. But I don't know. It just seems some of these stories that come out of the Kardashians nowadays, like, I don't know if you heard about the conspiracy that Kylie wasn't at the TV.
I have about the paparazzi photos.
Yes. And like more and more of these stories coming out are just so bizarre to me that I don't know. I just don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's like the more bizarre it is, the more they know people are going to talk about it. And the fact that this complete blitz of press for them happened right around the premiere of their Hulu show, I don't think that was, not thought out.
Oh my God. So this is why I love having these discussions. So you think it's like the fourth dimension or whatever, the fourth level is that they went to Disneyland and then made the video of True's first, like, it's True's first time at Disneyland to plant on the week of their premiere.
Yeah, like I fully do. I think Khloe did not. God. Khloe knew this whole photoshopping scandal. I don't think there's any way she like conveniently forgot about it.
And that's why she replied, because why the fuck also would she reply to someone on Twitter? It's like, do they even use Twitter anymore?
Right. And then she knows there's going to be a whole article written up about it saying, let's go back to this original photoshopping situation. And it brings it all full circle. And honestly, maybe to a certain extent distracts from the fact that it was an Astroworld distraction in the first place, because now it can just be like, oh, it was just press for their show. Oh, speaking of, do you guys get, like, does Canada have it at the same time? Is it on Hulu in Canada?
Okay. Yes. We don't have Hulu, but it's on Disney+.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, because Hulu, I guess, is owned by Disney. And there was a lot of also promo on ABC during like The Bachelor because they're all under the same umbrella company. And it just makes so much sense. Also, it's owned by Disney and they were at Disneyland.
Right. See, I didn't even make that connection, but yes.
And like Kourtney was there this week celebrating her like 41st birthday or whatever, or 43rd or something like that. And they've been to literally Disneyland like 1,000. They're definitely Disney adults and like they're from Southern California. So it makes sense that they have this love for Disney, but they've been at Disneyland like literally like every week this year.
Yeah, like I don't think that's a coincidence, even as much as they love it, because I'm a Florida girl, so I actually live close to Disney World. Not super close now, but I grew up pretty close to it. I used to have annual passes. Like, I don't like to label myself as a Disney adult, but I'm pretty much like I'm bordering, because I do like to go and get shit faced at Epcot. So I don't know, even from...
That sounds like a dream.
You have to come. So have you been?
I know, literally. No.
Oh my gosh, you have to go. I mean, honestly, it's probably better to spend the money to like go to Europe or something, but...
Yes. Totally, yeah.
But I wanted to bring that up. So we have to get into the next part of this story. Like...
Yes. Okay. So the second part is... They rode the teacup ride specifically. I didn't see other videos, but all by themselves. So when you have like a VIP tour, when you're like a celebrity or a special guest, you cut the lines, which that is weirdly like a dream of mine because Disneyland, I feel like has the potential to be so cool, but it's just so miserable in practice because of like lines, etc. But they skipped the line, which is kind of normal. The ride being by themselves, where like hundreds of people were just looking at them ride by themselves, was kind of controversial. So there was like a few TikTokers from park goers and like who were in the queue, and they compared it to Cardi B, who was recently at the park, but rode with other people, because there was that like viral image of her bodyguard in another teacup, but still on the ride with them at the same time. So what did you think of that?
Okay, before we go back to the Kardashians, I have to say, like, what good could her bodyguard, Cardi B's bodyguard, do like in a different teacup?
I don't know. / like, what did they think was going to happen? I guess like the most concerning part wouldn't be like maybe during the ride, but like entering and exiting.
Yeah, but like if someone wants to, I guess that is true, because if someone wants to shoot you or something, well, you probably didn't get a gun into Disney World to begin with. So okay, that's like a valid thing, but I'm shocked that the bodyguard would even ride the ride. I thought he would just be like chilling on the side.
Like stand on the side. Yeah. Yeah. Especially for a ride like the teacups, or like, because in Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, maybe you sit in the seat behind them or something. But in this one, it's just so funny, and you could totally just stand on the side. So yeah, it was weird, but it made for a really fun, like, I don't know, viral
and comparison to the Kardashians. I think it's convenient that now we can like side by side the two. But okay, so last time I was at Disney World, I actually saw Tracy Morgan, and I was going on Soarin', which is a ride at Epcot, and I thought he had waited in line, but he was definitely in like the line next to me. So I don't know if he waited through the whole thing or if they put him at the front at the end, but they didn't take him through some like side door. And I realized Tracy Morgan is not, Kim Kardashian. Like it's a different level, but he's still a pretty famous dude. And he rode the ride and like got off like a normal person. It was very unaccompanied, if you will. Like there was no really like hubbub about it. My brother went and got a picture with him. I didn't see any bodyguards around. He was there with like his whole family. They were all seated. They were all in the front row, like all the way across, but there's only like 3 rows in Soarin', so it's not that dramatic. So I do think, again, and now that we've brought up the Disney connection and with them owning Hulu, I mean, I know this story came out because of a TikToker, but they know that there's always going to be eyes and cameras on them. So it's kind of like, okay, like maybe they just know all of these are going to create viral moments. But on the flip side, I'm also like, okay, because the Kardashians go to Disney so much, since they have a direct deal with Disney, does Disney just really give them the VIP service?
Well, that was kind of the question that I had too, because it's like, well, why don't they just close down the park for them? And it's like they could afford it if the cost is like a concern. But I've only been to Disneyland in California, and when I went in 2019, California Adventure is like the second, like this other side of Disneyland, and they closed that down at like, it was supposed to be, I think, open till midnight, and they closed it down at 9 because there was a radio station having like their Christmas party there. So I was like, okay, so if this radio station can close it for 3 hours in the evening, like why couldn't the Kardashians just close it for themselves for like 2 hours in the morning or something like that?
Right. And that gets my brain thinking on another tangent. Like when the Kardashians go to Disney, do they have someone they call up and they give them warning that they're coming and they're like, bring out, everything for us? Or do they just show up? Like, do they just show up at the gate and then everyone's walkie-talking each other like the Kardashians are here? Like, yeah. Like, I wonder how that goes down. That's like the kind of questions I always want to know about celebrities. I'm like, that's what I want to see on your TV show. Like, I want to know when you do these exclusive things, how you do it.
Yes, same. Because I think that the other part that when we're like, okay, they don't care that everyone's watching them is just like, I think they like when people are like jealous of them. Like I just think they like people being like envious of what they have, which I would probably be the same too if I've like worked hard and like amassed that much wealth. Like I guess ethically, who knows? But it's like you probably at some point you probably want to show it off. Like I get that, but so I just think that they like people like looking on, and like that's why the new show started with like the drone shot through like, because it's wild to me, because I talk about this on It'll Be Released, but I did do a deep dive just into the first episode, and it'll be released by the time this episode comes out. But in keeping up with the Kardashians, they used fake exteriors of the houses because of like security reasons. And now I feel like they're like, fuck it, let's just show our full. And we were like in Kim's real bedroom on the new episode and stuff. So I feel like they have come to a point, maybe they're just, I don't know, they feel like they're so untouchable that they've become, I don't know, more open about kind of showing these things, or less scared of the repercussions maybe. I don't know.
I think that was also just like a tactical decision on their part to be like, look, we're so letting you into our lives. This is such a different show than it was before. We're so, while we're aspirational, we're relatable in a way. And which is just like kind of a joke because I mean, maybe you touch on this in your show. I will definitely listen, but I thought it wasn't that different than Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
No, not at all. It wasn't. And I do also know in terms of the Disney passes, because of that Shonda Rhimes scandal a few, I want to say years ago, but it might just be mere months. But because she's a Disney employee too through ABC. And so I guess now the Kardashians are technically Disney employees. They do get these like, they're called like silver passes or something like that, where they get a few times a year. Yeah, they get a private VIP like tour guide and they just have to like arrange it beforehand. And basically Shonda, I can't remember the exact details of the story, but I think she had called in advance to schedule it. And she said, but I'm not going to be there. I think my nanny is going to take my children. And they were like, no, you can't do that. Like, it has to be you. And she was like, really? Like, I'm not some just random employee. Like, I'm Shonda Rhimes. So I bet that the Kardashians are like scheduling this in advance. But yeah, I do want to know these kind of like intricacies.
Who released that story about Shonda?
I think it was her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she was like, get this. Like, these fucking like phonies like are like give me like lip service in the press or whatever, but like when it comes down to it, like won't support like a small favor.
Oh my God, good for her. And she's like, I'm taking my talents to Netflix. Like, Bridgerton is now on Netflix. Bye, bitch.
Keep it. That's actually what happened. She straight up did that. And like, I'm sure that there was other things, but I think that a lot of people joked that was the catalyst for her going to Netflix.
Oh, I love that. I love Shonda. So good for her.
Me too. Anything else we want to say about the Kardashians and Disney and their Disneyland experience before we move on to Rihanna?
I think I'm good with the Kardashians.
Okay, me too. I swear to God, I'm like, with the Kim and Pete and Kanye stuff, I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm so done talking with them about them. And then the new show has really reignited something in me that it's like, I need to talk about this.
It's so funny you said that because I was watching it I live with my little sister and I was watching it with her and I turned to her and I was like, I forgot how entertaining the Kardashians are. I'm like, why have I cracked up like 6 times this episode? Like, they make good TV, period.
Yes, 100%. Everyone's always like, why are they famous? I'm like, they're fucking funny. And they say shit that other reality TV stars do too, but like their family dynamics. And even when they were out for lunch and Khloe was like, Kim, I've got a bone to pick with you about your Skims bodysuit.
The camel toe.
The camel toe. She would like, that's what I would say to my sisters.
Same.
Like verbatim. So it's like, it is good content, like for sure. Like I enjoy it. And I saw a tweet, so I wouldn't ever dare to take credit for this, but someone said like the TV show is for us to remember that they're a funny, normal family, which balances out them, doing awful things / pushing tons of product in every other aspect of their like social media presence and stuff like that. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what this is. And I'm a sucker for it, clearly.
Same. I love my Skim shit. And like just then I was like, I'm done talking about the Kardashians. And then I'm like, you get me started again and I'm ready to go.
I know. I'm like, but just wait. Like, let's talk about this for one more minute. Literally. I was thinking, I was like, maybe I should do like a Kardashian ban on RTBP just for like a month or something. Then I was like, then what the fuck would I talk about? like that would suck.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, rough weekend. So you pitched this to me like, what was it, Friday or Saturday? And by the time like the next day I was like trying to like write it into the outline, it had already fizzled out. But we thought there was like some key things we could still talk about. seemingly random Twitter user posted that A$AP Rocky had cheated on Rihanna with the famous shoe designer Amina Muaddi, who has worked on some of Rihanna's stuff. Were you shocked when this rumor first, like, did you believe this rumor when it first came out?
Oh, hook, line, and sinker. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit to, okay, so his thing was Louis_Via_Roma. And I guess he's like kind of known as being like a little bit internet messy. And he's kind of like I think he's like a freelance journalist and does like a fashion beat. So coming from that, I was like, oh, this guy's in the know. He would know, you know? And even his apology did you read his apology that he tweeted?
No.
Okay, so I won't read the whole thing, but there's a few things about it that I thought were interesting. So he says the whole thing about them A$AP cheating with Amina. I believe he said it happened at Paris Fashion Week. Amina comes out with a statement. It's a pretty powerful statement, I'd say, saying that this isn't true. And then Louis comes out with this tweet, but I thought it was funny because he does it it's black with white font, which is how Amina did her.
She did it. Yeah.
And so he says he made a dumb decision to tweet some information. And he says, I'm not going to talk about sources, blame others for a discussion that was started, etc. Because at the end of the day, I made the decision to draft that tweet, press send, and put that out with my name on it. So again, I almost feel like he still believes, like whoever this source is that came to him with it, that there's some truth to it. But he says, I've been way too wrapped up in Twitter drama and unfortunately leaned into being messy as a brand, which is something going forward I'm going to move away from. He kind of he apologizes. He talks about taking a step away from Twitter. But again, I thought there was truth in this because celebrities cheat. Like full stop. They cheat all the time.
Yeah. Well, we're fans of Fluently Forward, and that is just like literally all cheating rumors of everybody ever.
Yeah. Cheating and coke. Like they're always.
Yes. Okay. Do you think that all of them are like cheating, or do you think it's more like open relationships?
No, I do.
That aren't.
Okay.
Are like unknown to us.
In some situations, yes, but I definitely think that Rihanna and A$AP are not in an open relationship, especially like with her being pregnant. They know that if that was going to be, even if it was going to be an open relationship at one time, now would not be that time. But again, I just find it where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that A$AP, if it's not with Amina, it's probably with someone else. And I'm not saying that anything against like A$AP as a person. I'm just saying that as a male person who's successful in the entertainment business, and maybe because I have trust issues and like hate men, but like I just don't trust them as far as I can throw them. So I just, I hope that's not true, but I don't know if I see a long time on the Rihanna and A$AP relationship, like as far as its expiration date.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about like kind of just, successful men in Hollywood, even with like powerful women as partners. Like the first couple that came to mind was Jay-Z and Beyonce, or even like Brad and Jen with Angelina. Yeah, so it's like history says it probably happened, like statistically, but like I really hope that it didn't, obviously. But you're right about like the person who tweeted this out. Like, do you follow the Celebrity Memoir Book Club girls? Okay, they're Claire and Ashley, and they host a podcast where they read a celebrity memoir and then discuss it on a podcast. Really good. Highly recommend if the listeners don't already listen. But so they are like kind of adjacent to like, they're both stand-up comedians, so they definitely obviously run in like the comedy scene in New York and stuff like that. But they're obviously, and they have a really successful podcast, so they're like kind of celebrity adjacent. And they kind of talk about how like I would talk about rumors within my friend circle and stuff like that. Their kind of friend circle includes celebrities basically. And so when they get stories or rumors shared with them, like oftentimes it actually, is like about a celebrity and or is true. I don't know if I explained that really well, but basically just like if you are a public figure, you hear gossip that is about other celebrities. So like I also kind of see that connection of it being true as well.
I think that's such a good point on two levels. Like that it's just human to gossip. Celebrities are human at the end of the day. They're going to gossip just like the rest of us, or even people in the industry, their hair people, their makeup people. Those are, a lot of times where you're getting anonymous sources from is people who are close to celebrities in some way. But on the other level, I just think it goes to show that, sometimes rumors aren't true. Like just as rumors aren't true amongst the plebs, they can be not true amongst celebrities. Things can get twisted as they go down. So that's why I know I'm saying like, yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire, but maybe ASAP has never even looked in the direction of another woman. I don't know. I could never know that. It's just because it's not going to, sadly, it wouldn't be me. The only way I could know it is if it was me. And unfortunately, I don't think ASAP is like lining up at my door. Like,
yeah.
But
no, I totally get that. Yeah, 100%. And go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think the other thing I wanted to talk about, like have us talk about this, was that I think it's really sad when people say stuff like, oh my gosh, like how could Rihanna get cheated on? She's the most beautiful, the most talented. So true. But I think it's really sad when girls internalize that sort of line of thinking that, oh, you can only get cheated on like if you aren't perfectly, you have this perfect body, perfect look. It's like, no one deserves to be cheated on, and anyone can be cheated on. So I hate when people say that narrative. It's like, no, like it does not matter who you are. And it's such a reflection of the person who's cheating more so than the person who's being cheated on.
Totally. Yeah. 100%. And that was really the narrative. That was like the main narrative. I don't even think it was like, well, there was definitely lots of like commentary of like, how dare you, ASAP, and like all of that stuff. But yeah, the most that I was seeing was like, if this could happen to Rihanna, like it's definitely happening to me or whatever. And like, I was like, okay, this is like a little dark sided.
Yeah, it made me really sad. I'm like, guys, you do not have to be as perfect as Rihanna to expect to not be cheated on. Like, no.
Totally. Like you deserve respect and kindness and all of those things, even if you're not a platinum selling.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's such a good point.
But it does humanize them a little bit, I think. Like it does remind you.
Yeah. That like, you're right. That everyone can have these problems. I think that was the other, like one of the takeaways to bring it back to the Kardashians. One of the takeaways that I got from the TV show and just like what's been happening with Kanye and Kim is just like, so like the thing with Tristan and Khloe and then Kanye and Kim, I was like, yeah, like it can literally, bad relationships and stuff can happen to like literally anyone. It doesn't matter your like wealth or fame or accomplishments or anything like that. You can still have like a shitty partner or whatever.
Yeah. Like money can't buy everything. It can't fix everything.
Totally. That's for sure. They were seen, I think like the next day in Barbados, which is where Rihanna's from, assuming that she's going to have the kid there, possibly. So that's cool. The one thing I found really interesting is that celebrities obviously travel all of the time, every day. And we rarely get airport shots unless they want us to. And it just seemed convenient for these to come out. It's like Rihanna has obviously visited the Barbados airport a billion times in the past, 15 years of her career. Like, why are we randomly getting pictures of their reunion right now?
Oh, yeah. I think it was set up like you're thinking like it was, or not set up. Like, I'm sure they were definitely going to Barbados together and it was planned, but they wanted the story to be out there like, hey, we're still, going places together.
Yeah. And I was like, also, is who picks up, like, and maybe again, stars, they're just like us, but I was like, who's picking their significant other up at the airport if you're Rihanna? Is she driving herself there?
Wait, is that how it went down? She picked up ASAP?
I think so. I think she was already there and then he joined her.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's how it went down. Maybe it was they both just flew into Barbados. That also could be the case. But for some reason in my head, I saw it as she was already there.
Yeah, if that's the case, like I'm never getting my ass out of my car to meet anyone inside the airport. Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like that seems so random. So I was like, oh, this kind of seems set up. She was also in like a full outfit, like full outfit. But this is kind of old school press, honestly.
Yeah. And then you brought up that you think she's having the baby there. Is she that far along? Is she already almost due?
Again, this is a huge assumption that I definitely shouldn't be making, but I think so. I don't know. She looks pretty preg.
She does.
Yeah. In the best way possible. She looks beautiful. And she was wearing high heels in the picture. And I was like, holy shit, you're still like, you have enough balance with that belly to wear heels. Like, I can't even do that.
I wonder if they were
baby.
Amina Muaddi heels.
Yeah.
Which,
oh my God.
But it is funny though, because I looked like before this podcast, I looked at Amina's Instagram and her most recent photo is one of Rihanna wearing her shoes. It's like the pink outfit. You've probably seen it. She's wearing like a pink bra with like a mink looking thing. Those are Amina's shoes. So maybe all three of them are in this together. I never know what to believe anymore, honestly. Like I'll have my theories and my takes, but I'm like, maybe this was really just like a chance for Amina to blow up her shoe brand, you know? Like
totally. Yeah. I know. I love theorizing it, but then there's a part of me that I'm always like, I just want the answer. Like, please just tell me the answer.
Same.
Like,
but then you could tell me and I'd still be like, wait, is there an angle?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like when I'm having these discussions nowadays, like I feel like I'm, you know, making all the connections, and then I'll talk to someone and they're like, oh, well, did you think of this? And I'm like, no, I didn't. like I'm playing checkers, you're playing chess. Like this is so layered and stuff. So
yeah,
it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And like going back to her thing, like her statement, we didn't really go into what she said, Amina, but she was like, I initially assumed that this fake gossip fabricated with such malicious intent would not be taken seriously. However, in the last 24 hours, I've been reminded that we live in a society that's so quick to speak on topics regardless of factual basis and that nothing's off limits. And it really got me thinking, I'm like, could me and you just like start a random thing that goes that viral? Like it's fascinating to me, the stuff that kind of gets picked up and that gets legs on it, and just goes to show you that like, yeah, you could make a TikTok just saying some bullshit and people could run with it.
Ruin someone's life.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like that is the case. Like, that's why I feel bad for people like Hailey Bieber. And like, I know I shouldn't be feeling bad for Hailey Bieber, but like sometimes it's like that must be so wearing to just see 1,000 videos about Justin like cheating on you and like all the Selena stuff, like, and there's only so much you can like shut out. And I feel like that's the case for some. And like, again, like you said, where there's smoke, there's probably fire. But like, how many cheating rumors? Again, you're only human, even though you're a celebrity. So it's like, how many cheating rumors can you hear before you just like believe it, even if there's like maybe nothing happened?
Oh, I can't even imagine how that would mess with my mental health. It's like my mental health's already precarious. Like, and I'm such a small creator and I get crazy shit being said. So I'm like, I cannot, like, I really can't fathom. I think that I would have to stop using the internet if I was Hailey Bieber. I think I would literally have to be like, block every site except for what I absolutely needed. And even then you're still gonna see it and hear it. But like, I don't think I could go on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. Like, I just don't think I could if I was her.
Totally. And like, what's the difference between this random Twitter user and someone like Tristan's, I forget her name, but like the girl that Tristan, or the woman that Tristan got pregnant in, that had the baby in December. Like, when Kim breaks it to Khloe on the TV show, but it's like when Kim sees that versus like Rihanna seeing this tweet, like, again, how do you discern what is true and what's not?
That's such a good point. And I even remember when that news with Tristan broke, people were making fake Instagram accounts of that woman who had the child. So it's literally like, I mean, maybe the Kardashians have just got to the point where they're so good at kind of filtering out what is real and what is not, but it would just be a constant mind fuck that I just don't know how you get used to.
Totally. That's why Kim's like, I am built for being famous and stuff, and why I am not.
Oh, yeah. It takes mental fortitude that I don't know how you get without just like being born with it.
Literally, like someone said like something about my podcast, like even just like you're rambly or like, oh, you sound whiny or something. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
oh, same. I think about quitting my podcast like at least once a day. I'm like, Kenzie, I'm not cut out. And I'm like, well, I have like like I have no list. Like I love the ones I have, but I'm still like on the verge.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, me too. That's so funny. Yeah, I feel that. And do you follow The Bachelor?
I don't. You know, I used to be like such an avid follower. Like back when, like I watched the first season of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Like I remember Tristan and Ryan, and it just got to the point where I was like, these girls are so much younger than me, and I feel like an old hag, and I should not. Like it makes you feel bad about like not pursuing marriage at, you know, the age of 23. That's kind of how I started to get with it. But I still see the entertainment with it, and I still kind of like hear, you know, the gossip through the grapevines, because I do find it fascinating, like the contestant to influencer pipeline.
Yes, me too.
But I'm not like a huge follower. So what were you going to say? Is it something that I would maybe know?
Just that the most recent Bachelor, Clayton Echard, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, because I am also just all about the influencer part of it. Like I think last season I watched 3 episodes and I just could not do it. A TikToker, I think a week or 2 ago, basically made a TikTok being like, I hooked up with the most recent like I slept with a rando at the bar. He said he was Clayton Echard. I think I'm saying his last name wrong, who is recently engaged. And then it was this whole weekend of debunking this rumor. And it turns out it wasn't Clayton. It seems like the TikToker went home with someone who was just saying that they were on The Bachelor as like a pickup line or whatever. But like, so when you were like, we could just start a rumor, but it's like, yeah, that happens like way. And the thing is I think with some of them get legs like this random tweet, but this TikToker, like, it's pretty random, like of what kind of like happened. Like, I feel like people do just kind of stir the pot and see what happens from it. So,
and the beauty in that is it's like the perfect fake rumor because it's so believable.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Again, here, clearly I'm just like man-hating a little bit right now, but it's just hearing a Bachelor Nation contestant cheating. How we've heard that so many times before. It's just like, okay.
Or they're like just together for public image and they're not actually together. And yeah, it's weird. But then again, just like the Rihanna story, the news cycle within 24 hours or 48 hours was already past it. So it was just fascinating.
It moves so fast. I also know I've been listening and you're more of like a Survivor girl, which I'm also a Survivor girl.
Oh my God, no way.
I'm not, I haven't watched, like, I don't think I've watched this season. Like, is there a season on right now?
Yes.
See, I haven't watched it. Is it good? Is this season good? It's
really, really good.
Okay, I'm going to have to get into it. My sister asked me the other day, she's like, why haven't we been watching Survivor? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know why. I just forgot.
Yeah. Sometimes I get that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, there's like a season of literally my favorite TV show on that I haven't started. Did you watch season 41?
I don't know any. Was that the last one?
It was this fall. Yeah.
No, I think I missed that one too. I haven't seen it. I can't even remember who the last winner I saw was.
So they did season 40, which was the all winner season. And then they took a 1.5 or like 2-year break.
Okay, the all winner one is the last one I saw.
Okay, so you have 41 and 42. Those would actually be really good to binge back to back.
Okay, fun. I mean, not that I have so much TV I watch that I'm like, well, I don't know when I'll fit that in, but.
Literally same, especially because that's like 14, I think usually like 14 hours. Yeah, I know. With Selling Sunset dropping, I think this weekend or whatever, I'm full. My schedule is full.
I was just watching a documentary on Abercrombie and Fitch, which is really good on Netflix.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to watch that too.
Yeah. I was watching that right before this.
Yes. Okay. I'm like fascinated by that. I'm definitely gonna watch that.
Sorry, had to get on my TV watching news and
yes, no, I love it. I'm not usually like, I used to be into documentaries a lot, but I don't know. But the Abercrombie like history and like their present day stuff, I actually do want to get into. When you sent me this, I was like, this is perfect ready to be petty content, because we love to shit on celebrity baby names. Darren Criss and his wife Mia had their first child. Her name is Bluesy Bell.
I hate it.
It's so bad.
And I like a weird celebrity name. Like Cardi and Offset just had their baby and they named it Wave Set. And I think that's adorable. Like I like a weird name. Bluesy Bell. There's nothing about that I can get behind.
Literally, I was like trying to, because I feel like when Beyonce had Blue Ivy, people were like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't love that. And that grew on me. I was like, I don't think Bluesy Bell could ever. This is going to sound so awful. It sounds like what a farmer would name his like cow.
Oh, for sure.
Like his cattle. Oh, there's all old Bluesy Bell, like gnawing on some grass.
Well, that's why I think another theory, I think he named his baby him and his wife, to get people talking about him again, because I haven't even thought about Darren Criss probably since he was in the Ryan Murphy Versace show.
Yes. I mean, yes.
And not to go on a complete rant about Darren Criss, but Darren Criss is also someone that every time I am reminded that he is married to a woman and identifies as heterosexual, I'm shocked, because he always plays gay roles.
Gay characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, gay icon. And then I was like, oh, just wait. Like, yeah, that's so funny. I do feel like celebrities just feel like they can like get away with it. And like, again, it's kind of like one of those things like the Kardashian teacup ride. It's like, well, I can just do this and you can't. Like, you can't name your kid something fucking insane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then his Instagram caption was just as bad as the baby's name. It was M&D made some sweet music out now.
It makes me literally want to gag.
It's so cringy. So I guess Mia is also like an artist or like a musician, but everything about that just is horrendous.
It's gross, because I'm like, if we're saying making sweet music as a euphemism for sex or like making a baby, quote unquote, that is just repulsive. And the fact that their birth announcement was, we've been making music for years, but this time we made a beat, the ultimate collab dropping spring 2022. I mean, it's so corny. It's honestly like, it's very millennial. Honestly, this sounds like something someone I like went to high school with would do.
That's what I was going to say. This sounds like a gender reveal of like Kaylee and Brad from freaking like Illinois or whatever. Like, I don't even know that state. And like, I don't like, sorry to... Yeah,
I'm very impressed with your USA knowledge. Like, I don't know shit about Canada, and I love Canada. I've been there twice, and I'm like, we as Americans or like as United States citizens are so ignorant about Canadian geography, culture.
Yes. Okay. So I think there's two things. Yeah. I think the US doesn't like education system doesn't teach you about Canada like at all. But like from my American friends saying that, but also my mom's American. So that is helpful, obviously. And then I think that something that people don't realize is, I don't know the percentage, but it's like 90% of Canadians, or like 2/3 of Canadians, live within like the 49th parallel, like around the border. Because the rest, like the northern part of Canada, is like pretty inhospitable, I would say.
Right. So you're all physically pretty close to the US.
Yes,
border. Yeah.
yes. Like basically everyone lives right across the border of the states. So yeah. So I think we just know based on proximity.
Well, I'm still impressed because even if you're an American who lives up north and borders Canada, I swear, like we don't know shit. So
yeah, that's too funny. Yes. So I don't know. All of this was just really cringy. And for some reason, I thought Darren Criss was like cool, but
he proved you wrong.
Not. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen him in some like magazine shoots that are like, you know, kind of like artsy, really like fashion forward and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is like the least cool thing that you could do.
Agreed. We were rooting for you, Darren, and you just dropped the ball.
100%. Okay, let's nominate your Pettyweight Champion of the week. Who do you want to nominate this week?
Okay, so I want to nominate all the influencers that are talking shit about Revolve Fest because that has all my TikTok has been for the past since Coachella. So 2 days. yeah.
But it feels like a lifetime. Yes. Okay, I love this nomination so much because it's so annoying. It seems like, so from what I've gathered, it seems like the main thing was overcrowding and lack of buses at like transportation out of Revolve Fest and like not quickly handling the situation. But is there like more to it?
No, that's my understanding is that the real shit show happened in the shuttles that were taking people to the festival. So people were waiting in line for 3 hours. And even then they were lucky to like get on a bus. And when the shuttles came, it was like people were rushing them, like pushing people. Some people were getting trampled. I think that was like a minority of people that was happening to. Like it wasn't most people who were going, but there was just some people who were getting pushed and shoved and just it was hot and they didn't have water in line and like there was no security to kind of funnel people correctly into the shuttles. But then once they got to the festival, it was okay. And I think why people are giving this a lot of shit is because a lot of the influencers are like, you know, I was invited to this. This is an invite only event, or it's something like, oh, if you buy X amount of clothes from Revolve, you can have the opportunity to go. Like it wasn't like, oh, you can just buy a ticket, you know? So I think people were expecting this very like exclusive VIP experience. And when they didn't get that, they were just like, what the fuck? Which I can understand that. I think, you know, I saw this really sad one where it was this, she was like a kind of lesser known influencer and her friend. No, she wasn't an influencer. She worked for Revolve. And she said that Revolve did a raffle where they pulled out like which workers could go to Revolve Fest, which that alone is pretty shitty. I'm like, you don't let all of your workers go who are local to the area. So her best friend had like flown out and they literally couldn't get into the first day of the festival because of this whole shuttle thing. So I really felt for her because she wasn't even an influencer, but I feel for the influencers too. I'm like, I know it's first world problems and it's like a privileged problem to have, but I think when you kind of, you know, you've done everything and you're so excited and you're ready to go and it's just such a letdown.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree, especially because it is a big deal for influencers. And I know I'm like, how am I empathizing with like these people at some point? Because I do really feel like Coachella and Revolve Fest have just turned into a place for influencers to make content. And it's not content that I want to see, but it does suck. Like speaking of Survivor, one of the Survivor contestants, she was a runner-up in Millennials versus Gen X, I believe. No, Island of the Idols. So that was season 39, I think. So she went and she had the same experience. Like she couldn't get on a bus and like looking at the crowds and like going through security and like all of that, which I guess you had to do before you get on the bus, looked like an absolute disaster.
Yeah. And it's always shocking to me every time I go to a concert, like when it's what people would traditionally kind of relegate as like a teeny bopper type concert. I hate like just saying that, like, you know, what teen girls like is not important. But I've just noticed with those particular ones, like a Harry Styles, a Justin Bieber, they don't know how to control those crowds. Like they have no idea. And I'm like, you're this huge venue and you have concerts every week. And the fact that like you cannot get your shit together enough to like manage teenage to, you know, whatever age girls is, I will never understand it. I'm like, should I just start a concert management company to like help these people out? Because I've been to enough and I've seen how poorly it can go to know like that it can become Fyre Fest 2.0. And just watching the Abercrombie documentary, I'm primed to think this, I guess, because I was just watching it. But I think Revolve is our modern day Abercrombie.
Yeah, that's such a good way of putting it. 100%. Yeah. Like a little bit higher than mid-range, and it's definitely like sought after by like cool girls and like stuff like that.
Yeah, and you look at their top influencers and they're all very thin and very white, and then they'll put in someone like a Remy Bader who's more on the plus size spectrum and be like, oh well, look at us, we're like really doing amazing work. And it's like, come on, like everyone sees right through that. Like you're literally following in Abercrombie's footsteps as far as being like, oh, we're only going to hire white skinny people to work our stores, but then we'll throw something in to make it seem like we're so diverse and inclusive. And I mean, I'm not saying that I've bought stuff from Revolve. I bought stuff from Abercrombie. I still do. But I just think they're going to have a reckoning. And I could see in 20 years from now, we're going to have a Revolve documentary about how fucked up their practices are.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally agree about the performative stuff. Because I think even Remy's collab with them, it went up to like XL or something. And I was like, that actually just doesn't cut it. That's like a 12, 14 or something, that's like the average size of people in North America. So it's like you're not catering to like the majority of consumers. And then, yeah, it does shock me. Like stuff like TanaCon. Do you remember TanaCon? Yes. Like stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I could like kind of see this happening. But stuff like Revolve, I'm just like, how does that happen when you have such a big corporation? How do you fumble the bag so hard?
Yeah, you have the money, you have the resources, and it's not your first rodeo, frankly. I mean, they've
been having them for years.
Yeah, and they do activations all the time. And it's just like, come on. I'm sure that they're going to have their shit together extra tight next year.
They're going to have to, or I feel like they actually would, you're right, like would be canceled or will just quickly like fall out of style almost. So wild. And then I felt like also, because I was actually watching some of Remy's content from Coachella, because she was basically saying how much she hated it. She's like, I'm wandering around in a field. I'm like extremely hot. I'm like so thirsty. I lost my friends, like just really not having a good time. Like I've been walking like 1,000 miles. And I also feel like with Coachella and maybe other music festivals, or maybe just Coachella, because they've seemed to put the influencer experience over the like actual music, which I don't think other music festivals do that. But with platforms like TikToks and Instagram stories, I feel like it's not like, I feel like the truth is coming out. There was probably a time in my life where I was like, man, I want to go to Coachella. Like that looks like so much fun. But like now seeing the behind the scenes, I'm like, I would literally rather do anything ever than go to one of these festivals.
Oh my gosh, I feel the same way. And I've said for years, I'm like, I would go if I had an artist pass or something. I'm like, and that was never going to happen for me. I have no way of getting that. But I think honestly, it's probably, I don't know, just the older I got, I'm like, I don't want to go and have like be crowded and sweaty and like staying in suboptimal conditions. Like I want to be comfortable. I want to be cool, like temperature wise, you know, like I didn't. So I'm in the same boat. I'm like, okay, yeah, I appreciated Remy giving those. I saw those as well. And I'm like, okay, that helped my FOMO for sure.
Seriously. And it's so interesting because I'm like, I guess it makes them money on Instagram and they can do like brand deals while they're there and like stuff like that with like collabs with clothes and stuff. But I'm like, everyone's pictures just look the exact same. And no offense, everyone's outfits are horrendous. Like, I think it's like not cute. Like, I don't think there was one person's that I super liked.
Agree. Same. I was like, honestly, go back to like some 2012 fashion. Like I thought that was bad at the time. And now I look at it and I'm like, that's kind of cute and fun. Like you guys should maybe stop with the chaps and like go back to, you know, the flower
like the
crowns.
Bohemian. Yes. The bohemian, like boho, like wild child. Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's really it's evolved from like festival wear to like just like the most insane thing you could ever wear on your body.
Literally, like straps, ass out, and I mean, go for it. But it's just. Yeah, it's
so random.
It's not what, and I like a crazy costumey look, but yeah, I'm totally in the same boat of like not seeing anyone's look that I'm like, oh, I want that on my body.
No, none of it was cute. I remember in the early days of RTPP, so this was like four years ago. Maybe I should listen to this episode so I can see what I said. But my guest and I like were like, what would we wear to Coachella? And I was talking about like space buns and like all of this stuff. And like I was like, oh, I guess I like actually wanted to go, and like that's what was like cool to wear there. And now I would be like the most basic bitch because I'm not in my like James Charles like heat map like bodysuit.
Oh my gosh, with his BBL.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny. I just want to give a shout out. I feel like there's two positives to Coachella, and then let's quickly pivot. Speaking of outfits, I actually thought it was so fucking cool that Hailey Baldwin Bieber and Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner, and like I never give these girls credit for anything on this podcast, but they just wore like jeans, a crop top, and like a leather jacket. And I was like, that's actually, I feel like way cooler than like trying.
Oh, but you know, that's what it's going to swing that way for Coachella weekend too. People are going to go way more chill.
Yes.
And then they're going to copy that same trend next year. Like I think next year we're going to see it way more dialed back because of that. Because they really are trendsetters at the end of the day. People always emulate what Hailey and Kylie and Kendall do. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of jeans with a tiny tank top and a leather jacket next year. That's my prediction.
Yes, that's a good prediction. That's a really good prediction. I'm just like, you look so comfortable and cool compared to like all of these like hooligans in like tie-dye and stuff.
Yeah, and like a floss up their ass. That's like literally, I'm like, why? And again, I'm like, show your body off, but that like that just doesn't look comfy.
Not for like where you are going to be standing in a crowd with strangers, and then also like again walking
and dust
and sitting on the ground.
Yeah,
like,
no thank you.
Oh my god. But the other, I feel like honestly the winners of Coachella, I feel like have to be Harry Styles and Shania Twain.
Oh my god, yes. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I almost forgot about that. I was so into like the Revolve Fest stuff. But
yes.
Harry bringing Shania on was the moment of Coachella weekend one in my mind because I love both of them, and she did this little chest rub on him and it killed me.
I literally I've watched that like 40 times. Like on repeat.
Yeah, your listeners need to look it up if they haven't seen it yet because it's worth the watch.
Yes, I'll put it in the show notes because it's worth it for sure.
Okay, but before we move on from that, can I just say, and I'm sorry, I just like keep rambling on. I could talk about pop culture for hours, but
I love it.
Dumois, again, you always take Dumois with like a grain of salt, like every blind item type thing. She is pushing hard that Harry and Olivia Wilde are engaged as of today. Like as of today, she's pushing it hard. Like someone wrote in Harry and Olivia engaged. She said yes. Someone said, are H&O really engaged? Are you just trying to stir the pot? She says, I'm not stirring the pot. I swear on my beloved pets who are now over the Rainbow Bridge, which I'm like, fuck, that's fucking real. Like you're preying on your dead ass pets.
Dog.
Okay. Like I take that seriously. She says, I think there's a high probability that they are. And then she says, but guys, I've been saying this for literal months. They are very serious and no one ever wants to believe me. I actually believe that they're serious. I believe that they're like truly in love. But then she even went on her Twitter and she posted again saying, guys, I'm not joking. I did not see a ring, but someone gave me information that leads me to believe this is true, that they're engaged. So I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Wild. What do I think of that? Like I definitely have been on it's PR train, but I feel like with Kim and Pete and with Ben and Jen and Olivia and Harry, I've been softening to that they are in a relationship and they also as a couple do PR because that's what's best for their career.
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Wild.
So,
okay, so like thinking about like the rumor stuff, like with Rihanna though, it's like, how do we, again, like I guess Dumois' sources could be more legitimate, but it's like, how is that any different from just like hearing it from a friend of a friend or something?
Oh, it's 100% not. It's just clearly someone that she's thinking, oh, this person has given me reliable information before, so that this information has to be reliable.
Is also
but
true.
That's not necessarily how it works. So who knows? I don't know if I believe it. But I do think they are serious, and it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be shocking to the people around them if that was true.
Yeah.
So
I don't think so either.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I can't.
We'll see. I would be sad. I definitely think it's to his benefit that, like, for his music career and stuff, that he is single.
Oh, I completely agree. And he's so young. I feel like, who's getting married at, however, what is he? Was he like 26? I feel like he's just young. Maybe he's older than that now. But like, I should know that he's literally like my number one celebrity crush. But I just feel like he is still young. Like, I don't know.
Totally, because she has, I think, 2 kids, right?
Yes.
With Jason Sudeikis?
Yes.
Yeah. So he'd be like kind of maybe stepping into like a stepfather role.
Right. Which, again, it's like, live your rock star life. Okay, he's 28. I'm sorry. He's 28. But still young.
I feel like that's still young now, at least like by my standards.
Yeah, and she's 36, I believe.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, only time will tell, but she's not who I pictured him with. I don't know who I pictured him with, to be honest, but I don't think it was her, but he's always liked older ladies, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Who knows? Okay, let's chat about your This Week in Petty. What are you petty about this week, Bailey?
Okay, so I'm petty because this past weekend I went to this event. They have it like every year. It's this Easter event. And this year Nicky Hilton was there. And she was at Love Shack Fancy, and I went and took a picture with her, with my sister, and we had our 2 dogs. And she was just so bland. Like, I'm not saying she was mean or anything, and I don't think celebrities owe us anything, but I kind of feel like when you're doing an appearance to sell your shoes, that's what she was doing. It was like she was selling her shoes at an event at Love Shack Fancy. It's not like I just assaulted her on the street for a picture.
Yeah.
And she, like, I was trying to engage with her, and it was just like, yeah. And then I was like, is your mom here? Because I thought I had seen Kathy Hilton. I'd even like screamed after her, like, Mrs. Hilton. She like totally ignored me. And I was like, is your mom here? Because she was wearing this big hat, sunglasses, hair up, like, and tucked in her hat. Kathy was. And Nikki's like, yeah, my mom's here. And I was like, well, congrats on your, like, because she was pregnant, like very pregnant. I was like, congrats on your baby. Congrats on your, she's like, thanks. It was just it was weird. It was like, can you give me a little something?
100%. I feel like I've maybe talked a little bit about this on the podcast before, but I really feel like it's your like, and I know that this, again, maybe is like unfair because people are not going to be in like a nice giving mood all the time. But I'm like, when you're a celebrity and you're meeting someone, yes, you're meeting like a millionth person, but it's like, to that person, it's like, you're the one in the million, like, you're a big deal. You're like the life-changing moment, like, of their lives.
Yeah, well, and in this case, I knew she had started her meet and greet at like 2 p.m. and I went there pretty close after 2 p.m. and I could see that like there was like one other person getting a photo with her. Like, there was no one behind me in line. It wasn't like, people were
so embarrassing.
Lined up out the door.
That's so embarrassing.
No, I think it's because like this event I was at, it's a very like kind of snooty, like she crowd that like thinks they're above that. It's a free event, like anyone can go. But I think it was like that vibe that like, oh, we're too cool to like go get a photo with Nicky Hilton. But yeah, so that's what I'm petty about. I could have done
so funny. For some reason, like I have nightmares that will happen to me, even though like there's no future where I'm doing a meeting.
Oh wait, where you're the Nikki in the situation?
Yes.
Okay, that's not your personality though. I was just like, you have a very warm, welcoming personality. Like you know how to make conversation. You wouldn't be just like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, that's just fucking weird.
Yeah, it is fucking weird. Yeah, I just feel like, especially like, okay, if you meet a celebrity on the street and they're like, yeah, I'll take a picture. Sure. Okay, thank you. It's like, okay, whatever. They weren't expecting it. But for a meet and greet, it's like you turn it on.
Yeah. And there's a business relationship there. Like either you're being paid by Love Shack to be there, or you're getting a kickback on your shoes you're selling there, or both. So like, and a lot of times these appearances, I mean, it's thousands of dollars that they're getting paid. So I'm like, you can fucking turn it on for a little bit. I have social anxiety. I'm like, if you need a tequila shot beforehand, you do what you have to do.
Take it. Yes. Yeah.
That's what, if that day came for me, when it comes for us one day when we're doing a meet and greet, we'll do what needs to be done beforehand. Everyone's process is different, but mine will be taking a tequila shot. Mine would also be like,
mine is like chugging a bottle of wine.
There you go.
Sure. Yeah. I wonder, like, Nikki, do you think she wanted this life? Like, I feel like we always just talk about Paris and Kathy, to be honest.
Well, I have always noticed that clearly Nikki is like the more kind of restrained one out of them. I definitely think she doesn't like being in the spotlight as much. But girl is married to a loaded ass man. She comes from money. She does not need to be shilling shoes at a Love Shack fancy. Clearly she's doing this because to a certain extent she wants to keep herself in the public eye. That's my opinion. Like, if she wanted to shut herself away and never be seen, she could do that. She has the means to do that.
And that's the ideal, is to get the money and just live your life.
Yeah. So personally, no, I think she thrives off it a little bit too.
Yeah. I don't want to say this because it's looping it back to the Kardashians. All roads lead back to the Kardashians. But I have to. But sometimes that's why it also puzzles me what the Kardashians are doing, because I'm like, you're rich enough to just like take a step back and like live your life. But it seems like they're like charging ahead with like, I don't know, all of this stuff. And yeah, for me, the idea would be get lots of money and then just like live a private life. But I guess that's just not the case for some people.
Oh, again, I would be trying to retire. Like I would be investing as much as I could and retire as soon as possible. But I think you get addicted to the fame. It's the serotonin hit of it. And once you have gotten that and live that way, I think it's really hard to walk away from for certain people. I mean, Rob, like, because if you look at Rob Kardashian, clearly that's kind of the path he's taken. So I just think for some personality types, they just can't walk away.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The addiction of the good feelings. And then I guess, just like the almost like addiction to like hustling and just wild. If you had to say how many people attended this Nicky Hilton meet and greet?
I really don't know, because I was there at the beginning of it. So I really don't know. I don't know overall.
No one was there behind you? That's so concerning.
No.
like new fear unlocked.
No. I just think she didn't care. So she wasn't really like hyping it up, you know?
Yeah.
Like if she had hyped it up, I think there would have been more people there. She could have been standing by the door and like getting people to come in. She was literally like in the back corner hiding by her shoes.
Wild. Were her shoes nice? Like,
oh my God. They're fugly. I hope none of your listeners have them. They are granny ass fugly shoes.
Really?
Oh, I feel kind of bad. No, I don't. They were ugly. They're ugly. Don't. Look them up after this. God. Like, look
I will. That's the first thing I'm doing.
Yeah, they're not cute.
Okay, that's wild. Because she's cute. Like, I don't like her. Like, her style isn't mine per se, but I think she's like.
Yeah, and she looked really cute that day. She had on like this floral maxi dress. It was really pretty. She had her she looked gorgeous. The shoes were not it though.
Wild. Okay, I cannot wait. Okay, this was super fun. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Gosh, thank you, Torry. I'm glad like this could be my first experience as a guest. It was a great one.
I know. You were so great. Like, oh my goodness. I love that. Like literally right after I feel like I hit record, you're like, this is my first guest spot. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. You're a old pro.
Thank you so much.
Where can the listeners find your podcast and anything else you want to plug?
So you can find Kinda Cute. It's Kinda Cute wherever you listen to Ready to Be Petty. You can follow me at Bailey Evin, which is BAILEYEVIN on TikTok and Instagram. And I also have an account for Kinda Cute at Kinda Cute Podcast on Instagram. And that's pretty much it. And I love people like contacting me and sliding into my DMs. I just like love to chat. So if any of you guys want to chat about this episode with me and Torry, please do.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. That is the best. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Torry.
And there you have it. Thank you so much to Bailey for joining me on today's episode. And thank you so much for listening. I know I plug this at the end of every podcast, but it really helps grow the pod and, you know, be able to continue to have these fun discussions online. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, share it on your socials and I'll repost, or, you know, just send it to someone who you think would enjoy today's episode as well. You can follow along with me on my socials at RTBP Podcast. I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Torry, and I am ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.